Most of you will just have to suffer. Now, I thought about giving this video a more pleasant title of, people will only transition when they're ready to, or people will only grow when they're ready to. But I like using fear as motivation because throughout history, it's just proven to be the most effective tactic for motivating people, as unfortunate as it is. And basically, the whole point of this video is I've stopped trying to convince people logically of why they need to do something or why they need to clean up their life, because you can't really convince anyone of anything, right? When their soul is ready to evolve, when their soul is ready to transition into something more natural, and those are dramatic words used to make it understandable for people who are still in like a Harry Potter mindset, because it's not really much of an evolution. It's just going back to what's natural. But when you're ready to transition, right, you're going to do it. A lot of you guys, I can give you the best knowledge in the world, right? I can give you the best health knowledge, all kinds of great information. And logically, you might want to apply it. But emotionally, there's still a battle within, right? And until you make peace with that emotionally, and I've been there too. I've been through all kinds of temptations, and you finally reach a point where you're tired of running. You're tired of using your vices as escapism to to run away from confronting what you really know life is and who you really are. And so when you finally get tired of running and you just embrace reality, that's when you're able to smoothly transition into being your most natural self. But that requires letting go of the ego, right? So most of you will just have to get sick. Most people will just have to suffer. And they're going to suffer until they let go of their ego, until they let go of their egotistical ambitions, right? And worldly, earthly, material desires, right? Until you can finally make peace and let go of everything, you're not going to be able to truly transition. It's like that saying in Fight Club. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Basically, what that means is it's only after we've lost every egotistical desire, every material lust, right? Every source of chasing pleasure, that we are able to truly be free, right? So people ask me like, bro, why don't you really try to convince people to buy your program, for example? And it's simple, because see, when I used to be egotistical, when I used to be, more, it's just materialistic, egotistical, I used to be more obsessed with numbers, right? So it used to be like, all right, we're going to use whatever tactic necessary to push our agenda. No matter if we believe our agenda is right or wrong, right? We're going to use whatever tactic necessary to guarantee that we get what we want. So, if it's fear, we're going to really use fear. And when I say that I use fear now, I don't really use fear to where I'm pushing it to terrify people into doing something that they don't need to do. The harsh reality of life is scary enough. It almost does the job for me at this point. So I don't even really have to push fear like that to get people to understand what I'm trying to tell them. Life is going to kick your ass if you hold on to your ego, and you're going to get sick straight up. Your vices are going to poison you over time. So in the past, and even now, subscribers are like, bro, like, you really need to hammer it in, man. You need to convince these people like that, your information is actually going to help them. And it's like, no, man, you reach a point where you stop trying to convince anyone of anything. Because until they're really ready to transition, until it really clicks in their mind, they're just not going to do it. A lot of people, including myself, we had to just keep our hand on the stove until the burning pain was so bad that we finally took it off and, surrendered ourselves to nature. But people people come to that realization at different paces. Some people are more hard-headed than others. Some people are very easy to, uh, they get it quick, they understand quick, and they move on quick. Unfortunately, most people aren't like that. Most people have to suffer for a long time before they finally start to see, okay, wow, yeah, there is really only one way to live, right? So I'm not, I don't, it's not a race against the clock for me because it's not an egotistical dream. See, when you have an egotistical dream or an egotistical ambition, your whole self-identity is weighing on the outcome of you achieving what you want. For me, it's not about that. It's like I'm already at a party, and if everyone else joins me, great. If not, so be it. So people will come at their own pace. People will understand what I'm talking about at their own pace. And the people who just won't, they're just going to continue to suffer like they already are, right? So it is what it is. Nature just kind of takes care of itself. For me to try to force it or try to force people to like buy my program and be like, look, you need to heal, like you're sick and I can save you. That's just more ego. That's just more suffering. That's just more trying to, yeah, it's like I'm trying to help people, but I'm trying to help them for my own validation instead of just for the joy of doing it. Right? And that's where you create suffering within yourself. Even if you're the person who has the answers, if you develop an ego, I'm talking about myself now, if I develop an ego and make it about, building some resume of how many people I helped or, it just creates more suffering within me. So I know all of the salesman tactics that will get people to, believe in my stuff more and to pay for it more. But what's the point if they haven't really reached that transition within their own mind and soul? And it's like, they really can feel the value of what it brings. It's not that they've just been bullied into doing it. It's like with a kid, right? If you bully them into eating their vegetables because it's good for them, they'll do it, but they'll resent you and then they'll rebel. Now, if you very peacefully explain to someone, look, if you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to get sick over the years, you're going to suffer, you're going to ruin your relationships with people, and you're just going to have a slow descent into madness. At first, they're going to say, fuck you, right? And that's fine. But as time goes on and they suffer a little more and the months go by and maybe a couple of years go by, they're always going to have that thought in the back of their head, right? You've planted a seed of truth in them. And that's what I'm doing with you guys listening right now. I'm just planting a seed of truth in you. You've seen behind the curtain now. You know how deadly your habits are. And all you have to do is continue living with your habits, and you're going to feel them start to eat away at you over time, right? And then you're finally of your own will going to come to the realization that, okay, yes, this is what I need to do. And then because it's your decision, not mine, you're not going to feel the need to resist or rebel or prove anyone wrong. You're just like, wow, okay, this is just how nature works, and I'm okay with that, right? And that's when you really make that transition. And so when I say at the beginning of this video, like, I use fear to motivate people, I don't use fear to motivate people like the way I used to, where it's like pressure and ego and, like I'm trying to meet some agenda. I just use the harsh realities of life. I'm like, look, this is what life is going to do to you if you continue with these habits and these addictions, and life will take care of it. Life will give you the truth. I don't have to push hard to create fear, and I don't have the ego. I don't have the agenda. I don't have to make a certain amount of money by a certain amount of time. So there's no need for that. The dangerous thing about being egotistical is that, and having a sort of like power hungry energy is that you become a very like gluttonous, consuming person, and you start to take that approach with everything in life. And I know I've said this in numerous videos, but it's just such a critical point. It's something that I just find to be a very incredible truth, where it's like, if you're greedy or hungry in one aspect of life, you're going to be the same way in another aspect of life. A lot of the most power hungry people, successful lawyers, successful business people, successful criminals, they all have multiple vices, because if you have that lust in one aspect of life, it becomes who you are in every aspect of life. You know, a lot of these power hungry people, they have big drug addictions, they have sex addictions, they have junk food addictions. They're alcoholics, and all at the same time, because if you have that sort of gluttonous consuming energy in one aspect of life, you have it in every aspect of life. So people tell me, like, bro, your info is powerful, like, don't let it be slept on, like, really get it out there. And it's like, for me to do that, I would have to become something that's against who I naturally am, and that would actually slowly lead to my own destruction. Because if I start pushing my shit super hard, right, because I egotistically want to sell as much of my information as possible, I'm going to start having a consumer energy. And then I'm going to start, maybe I should just go back to eating that junk food. Maybe I should start doing drugs. Maybe I should start drinking. Maybe I should, go out there and try to fuck as many women as possible. When you have that, like, consuming energy, it bleeds into every other aspect of your life. So when you understand how nature works, you enjoy just getting by, right, on as much as you need to live. And everything else is just the icing on the cake. That doesn't take away from the value of my information. It is incredibly powerful and fucking life-saving, but it's like, for me to force it down someone's throat would be against the whole way that it works anyway. It would be to go against nature itself. To try to force nature onto someone it's like people breathe, and it's me telling someone, you breathe, you better fucking breathe. Like, inhale, exhale, motherfucker. I'm gonna punch you in the face if you don't breathe. It's like, no, they breathe naturally. Like, nature, they know how to do it naturally. So it's all about just guiding people on how to live naturally again. Right? So nature will take care of them for me. They're either going to understand how it works over time and live naturally, or they're just going to suffer and crash and burn like so many people do, which is unfortunate. But you can't force anyone to do anything. You can't logically convince anyone of anything. They have to come to the truth themselves. And to do anything else would be to turn myself into an egotistical, unnatural sort of abomination anyway. So that's why I don't push my shit as hard as I used to. Because that's just not natural. That's just creating another game and falling for another ego trap. So that's really just the message of that. It's it's just a video I wanted to do, in case people feel like, oh, he might be like lazy or docile, or he's not as, I don't know, aggressive as he used to be. It's like you reach a point where you realize there's no need for any of that. That just creates suffering within you and everyone around you. So that's just that.